The protagonist of Night and the character that can fall under each step of the hero's journey can be identified as Eliezer, a young Jewish boy that once lived in Siget. The first archetype within the story comes from Moshe the Beetle, the wise old man who warned Eliezer and all the other Jews about the Nazis. His call to adventure is when the Nazis had taken him and his family onto the cattle cars to their first camp. These cattle cars pull Eliezer from his normal life, thus making them his call to adventure. Eliezer now has to face chaos within his new community. This chaos includes oppression and suffering, as well as death, all of which is afflicted upon him and the other prisoners. His first fears coming into the camp were of death and the loss of his father. Another archetype comes from the fire and smoke that comes out of the chimney inside the camp. It's a crematorium. There is where all the Jews go to burn, thus making fire and smoke an archetype for death. Now the hero of the story, or Eliezer, has to separate from his family. The camp had divided its prisoners by gender. That meant that he had to separate from his mother and sister. Eliezer at this stage of the story had also separated from his innocence. His childhood is now behind him. He is no longer the optimistic boy he once was. A sword of darkness now overcomes him. Eliezer faced many obstacles along the way, including hunger, exhaustion, and brutality. However, a major obstacle that he faced was the death march. This was where he and hundreds of other prisoners faced harsh conditions and death. One archetype can be found within the death march. This is the winter season. Plant life is dead, and so are many other prisoners. Winter symbolizes dreariness and misery, the same ideas that Eliezer and all the other prisoners are subjected to. Eli's second obstacle is his faith and relationship with God. He begins to doubt the credibility of his God, for no God would put his people under such circumstances. After the cold and icy road to Auschwitz during the death march, Eliezer also adopts that emptiness, in addition to indifference. Eliezer was originally a boy with much love for his father, but due to his poor condition, his father almost becomes a liability for Eliezer. He almost wishes that his father would just die for his own benefit/survival. When Eliezer's father desperately asked for water due to his poor condition, Eliezer kept silent. Before his journey, Eliezer would have instantly sprung up into action to help his father, but now he has become indifferent. It was a struggle for Eliezer to make that decision to keep quiet, even though he knew that his father would have been beaten by the officers. Eliezer's father dies shortly after these events. Eliezer is now alone, leaving him to transform into a shell of his former self. While Eliezer is still in distress from this journey, he no longer has to worry about his father. He does not properly mourn his father's death, nor try to reconnect with his faith or religion. Rather, he only focuses on his own survival. Now it is years after the Holocaust, and Eliezer is a grown man who lives on his own. He, although still traumatized, leads his own life and seems to be a functioning member of a now civil, yet still indifferent society. One of the last two archetypes is night. Throughout the entirety of the book, most of the most traumatizing events occur during nighttime. During the night is when Eliezer feels most consumed by the darkness. The last archetype, being the color black, illustrates the death and evil Eliezer had witnessed throughout his entire journey. Black was the color of the burnt corpses. Black was the color of the night. The emptiness of the color black consumed Eliezer.